Julia was 37, Daniella was 40, and together they lived what seemed like an unremarkable life in the peaceful coastal city of Caraguatatuba, Brazil. To the outside world, Daniela was a loving mother of three daughters: one 5-year-old Maria Eduarda, one 3-year-old Manuela, and 9-year-old Mariana. She was a civil servant, a blogger, a surfer, a woman full of light. On social media, she posted ocean sunsets, playful moments with the girls, and her endless love for the sea. But behind those calm tides, a storm had been forming for years, one tied to a man named Julio Cardoso, the man who claimed to love her, yet slowly tightened his grip around her life. Friends whispered that something was wrong. Violent arguments, sudden breakups, his obsession with control. No one imagined how far he would go. Until the morning, everything shattered. The 15th of July 2021 began like any other, until Julio knocked on Daniella's door. She opened it, unaware she was opening the door to a nightmare. Within minutes, neighbors heard the shouting, then the screams, piercing cries, begging for help. By the time anyone reached for their phone to call the police, the tragedy had already begun unfolding inside the home. An argument turned into a struggle turned into violence. And as her daughters watched in terror, Julio pulled out a knife and stabbed Daniela repeatedly. The mother who had shielded them from every pain in life now lay dying before their eyes. But Julio wasn't finished. With blood still dripping from the knife, Julio turned his rage toward the girls. The home they once filled with laughter became a maze of terror. Maria Eduarda ran into the bathroom, trying to hide, but he found her. Manuela fled toward a shed behind the house, but he chased her down and ended her life without hesitation. And then there was little Mariana. Wounded and terrified, she ran upstairs, climbed out a window, and threw herself into the air, falling through wires, crashing into the ground, and still forcing herself to run toward the beach. Her voice trembled as she cried to the firefighters, "I think he killed my mother and my sisters." She was just 9 years old. Meanwhile, a neighbor confronted Julio at the house, confused by the screams. Julio smiled coldly, claiming the girls were scared of a cockroach, but his clothes were soaked in blood. Without waiting for questions, he escaped on a bicycle. Fear gripped the entire city. Police stormed the area, closing streets, searching beaches, forests, bus terminals, every possible escape route. Security footage showed him pedaling toward the woods, dissolving into the dense green. As the day turned to night, more than 12 hours passed. Specialized tactical units scoured dark trails, caves, and rivers. Citizens locked their doors because somewhere out there, a brutal killer was hiding. A man capable of murdering his partner and her daughters, and desperate enough to kill again. At around 10 p.m., in a wooded area between neighborhoods, military police spotted movement. A shadow, then a man running. They followed. The darkness pressed around them, branches cracking beneath their feet. Suddenly, Julio ambushed them, lunging from the shadows with the same knife he'd used to massacre the family. He slashed one officer's arm. He tried to stab another. The forest echoed with shouts, gunfire, and the chaos of a cornered killer. Moments later, Julio fell. When the ambulance arrived, he was already gone. The monster who had ripped a family apart died alone, in the dark, after a violent last stand. The city mourned as the bodies of Daniella, Maria Eduarda, and Manuela were buried together. Only little Mariana survived, recovering from her injuries under the care of relatives, carrying scars no child should ever know. Friends revealed that in the weeks before the crime, Daniella had finally decided to end her relationship with Julio, a decision that may have sealed her fate. Some say he planned it. Days earlier, he told co-workers he wouldn't be coming to work, but no one imagined he would commit one of the most barbaric crimes Brazil had ever seen. In the end, it wasn't jealousy alone or rage alone. It was a deadly combination of obsession, control, and a violent man who believed that if Daniela wasn't his, she shouldn't be anyone's. This is a crime Brazil will never forget.